Tyson Fury says he's going to try to come in at his heaviest ever weight for the Dillian Whyte fight. Now, you might be tempted to dismiss this and say that it's just Tyson Fury hyping things up and trying to make people want to tune in because they're thinking, wow, why would he do something as crazy as that and come in extra heavy because he's already very heavy as it is? Why would he want to give Dillian Whyte any kind of advantage? You might think that, but if you look at what Tyson Fury has done in the past, like for the Deontay Wilder rematch, and of course in the third Deontay Wilder fight, he did come in heavier and then heavier again. For the second Deontay Wilder fight, he was 273. For the third Deontay Wilder fight, he was 277. So maybe he'll come in even heavier again for this Dillian Whyte fight. I wouldn't rule it out, although I know it worked out well against Deontay Wilder. Dillian Whyte is a different kind of fighter than Deontay Wilder. So will he really just be able to bulldoze Dillian Whyte? Obviously he can lean on him, but is it going to work as well, or will he actually be playing into Dillian Whyte's hands if he comes forward like that? I think the only chance Dillian Whyte really has here is if Tyson Fury does come forward. And I'm not saying that Dillian Whyte is necessarily going to win if Tyson Fury comes forward, because maybe Fury can get the victory that way too. I just feel like Whyte will have more opportunities to land his big shots if Fury decides to walk him down. I think that Dillian Whyte will have a lot more trouble if Tyson Fury decides to box at long range and keep Dillian Whyte on the end of a jab, counter him when he comes in, etc., etc. But if we look at the weight history of Tyson Fury here, 277 against Wilder, 273 in the previous fight against Wilder, then you have to go back to where we at. I missed the weight. Where was it? He weighed 270 something against someone. 276, there we go, against Sefer Safiri. So he actually weighed, more than he did in the second Wilder fight, but less than the third Wilder fight against Sefer Safiri. And prior to that, 274 against Joey Abel. So he has been up in those weights before. 270 against John McDermott in the rematch. Yeah, so he does have a history of weighing in the 270s, but prior to the Deontay Wilder second fight, the rematch, he hadn't looked particularly good at those kind of weights. So obviously he's got more muscle on now and is filled out a bit since his previous fights. And obviously against Sefer Safiri, he was weight drained because he'd taken off an enormous amount, like 100 pounds or whatever it was in a year or something, and that had left him weakened. Also, against Joey Abel, he'd lost a bunch of weight going into that as well. He'd been way, way, way overweight, came down to 274, which was still far above what he normally would be. But yeah, that's another fight where he didn't look particularly great. He managed to get Abel out of there in 4 rounds, but it wasn't exactly vintage Tyson Fury. So anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Is it a good idea for Tyson Fury to come in at his heaviest ever weight against Dillian Whyte? And is it a case of him fighting at a weight where he's fit, whereby he can do the rounds, he can spar, he can hit the bag and all that kind of stuff, but he's not going overboard and trying to get the fat off his body? Because his dad has talked about this, about how Tyson Fury's genetics are just not conducive to having a ripped physique and all this kind of thing. And by trying to get that type of physique, that athlete body, he's actually doing himself more harm than good, because he's burning himself out overtraining when he tries to do that. And perhaps there is some truth to it. But at the same time, it is a trade-off, because when you're coming in at 270 odd pounds, you're not going to be as mobile as you would be at 254, at 256. Where's the Vladimir Klitschko fight? 247. I mean, we're probably never going to see him down at that weight ever again, at least no time soon. Watch him turn up at 247 now for the Dillian Whyte fight. But that would certainly shock me if he got down that low. But it's a trade-off. He may have more strength now. He may feel like he has more energy, but he won't be able to get out the way as well as he did in previous years where he was lighter and more mobile. And I think at some stage that is going to come back to haunt Tyson Fury. You know, he will miss his old mobility when he was a lot lighter. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Is it a good idea? Maybe it's not even an idea in terms of coming in heavy. Maybe he just has to come in heavy because it's not practical anymore to get down to the weights that he used to and still remain strong. But he is acting like he's going to add more weight deliberately. You know, the 277, you might be okay at that weight, but no, he wants to come in and put on even more weight. And it does sound hyperbolic to me. It does sound like he's just trying to get eyes on the fight and maybe, oh my God, no, Fury's making a mistake here. I better tune in to see whether he messes up against Dillian Whyte because he's going to come in over 300 pounds or whatever. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below.